Hi, my name is Gary Stocker with Medical Laboratory Science 2030. You're probably taking a few minutes to look at this MLS pipeline video because you're interested in learning how to build your future pipeline of medical laboratory students. And in the next few minutes, I will outline a set of systems and processes you can use to build that pipeline. At the end of the presentation, I will show you how to set up a courtesy Zoom meeting to discuss whether you can use these systems and processes on your own, or what it would look like if you engaged MLS 2030 to help you build that pipeline. The website is mls2030.com. Let's get started. I founded MLS 2030 in the year 2020 and gave myself 10 years to develop the systems and processes that laboratories across the country could use to build that long-term pipeline. Now, we're not talking about a pipeline of students for next month, next quarter, or even next year, although that's part of the processes we have developed. It's really to build an awareness and then talent pipeline that goes out from that 5 to 10 year time frame. So here's some of the details we can take a look at in developing that pipeline. Our focus is really on middle schools, high schools, and in some cases, college awareness events of the career. And we all know that the career that we have all chosen is one for which the awareness is minimal at best. And the mechanisms that we use are online tools, along with some face-to-face tools as well. And in particular, we focus on the systems and processes associated with capturing email addresses to engage in email marketing to science faculty in high schools and colleges, to high school and college counselors, to students, and in some cases, even to parents. Then we also leverage other science organizations. One of the organizations I work with directly is called Science Coach. It is what it sounds like. It's an organization that teaches science research skills across all science disciplines, not just the medical laboratory, to middle school to high school students. And I've used that relationship with Science Coach to start creating more awareness of the medical laboratory science career for these students. And as you're not going to be surprised, many of them had no idea about the science involved in medical laboratories. And then lastly, there's a lot of content out there that a variety of resources has created, including MLS 2030, that you can use to promote the career and then use that career promotion to land interested students in middle school, high school, and colleges as appropriate for interest in pursuing that MLS or MLT degree at your college or at your hospital. You can see the list of recruitment events and ideas, and I just want to focus on a couple. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to talk about WOW tours. It's not good enough just to show the laboratory. There's a specific way we recommend that you do it, and I'll share that. Contacting high school counselors. Here's why that's a big deal. The students will go on from year to year and have different students, but the high school counselors and even the college counselors tend to be there year after year after year and can help you spread the message about the awareness and the skills and the education and the opportunities in the medical laboratory. And it's not just the science faculty in high schools. I've had success creating awareness with college science faculty as well. And that's another avenue we can talk about as the opportunity presents itself. And again, here's a list of topics, and I've just highlighted a couple. The WOW tour is a big deal. The email marketing is a big deal. And of course, we look at the bottom and that awareness that I have circled down there. That's what this is all about. No one will ever become a medical laboratory scientist or MLT student in your program without any idea what the career, what the compensation, what the work, what the hours are like. And so it's a big part of what we do is reinforce the awareness with a lot of different kinds of events. And we'll talk about those later. And then the social media piece. I was at the CLEC conference, Clinical Laboratory Educators Conference in Las Vegas a couple of months ago. And I heard a very good presentation on how to build a pipeline. I even took some ideas from that. But one of the things that came out of the Q&A period that followed was that many, if not most, of these college-based programs and even the hospital-based MLS and MLT programs were forbidden by organizational policy from engaging in substantial social media content marketing. There's ways to work around that, and we can talk about that as the opportunity allows. And when I look at MLS and MLT websites, and you can see some examples that I have here, they all have fabulous information. really good information. But I'm going to categorize those as one and done. And what is needed and what we do in the systems and processes that we have developed is we have videos and podcasts and blogs and Zoom webinars and more that we use to reinforce what the career is all about, and not only to create awareness, but increase awareness of the possibilities of being a medical laboratory scientist. It's our responsibility as medical laboratory scientists, and I am one, to be proactive with our recruitment. It will not work, and probably hasn't worked for a long time, to wait for students to come to us. There is retail database work involved. We must, I encourage you to get your hands dirty with more than just show and tell. And I would make the case that we really can't even depend on the efforts of our professional organizations or even our individual organizations to do this work for us, because of what we do is so unknown to so many, that we need to take responsibility and use systems and processes that have been already developed to grow the awareness and the increased use of our career. And before I get into some more details, this is a YouTube video, and it had about 460,000 views many months ago when I brought it up. It's got to be close to 500,000 now. It is cute, it is entertaining, it has a music background, and it's quick. And this is an example of the content that's already out there that you can use to increase awareness, start awareness, improve awareness of what we do as medical laboratory scientists. Here's the website that I use. This is the homepage. This is MLS2030.com. And you can see how I have characterized the pages. You can see on the top right the need, the education, the career, and then my play on a blog, the lab blog. And then the images that you see. The two with the women in there are purchased images. And the two at the bottom are images I took that kind of give the feel of science and blood and body fluids and stuff that we work with. There's lots of different ways you can do that. But this is the way you can use the efforts of somebody else and leverage that awareness to get more students into your college, more students into your hospital-based program. And it all starts with this. This is the landing page that I have for lots of different purposes that I use. And it's very simple, and that it talks about the medical laboratory career. The tag that I use is meaningful work and career growth. You can see that at the end of the first sentence. And I say, hey, stay informed. And I note that you'll only receive updates about the medical laboratory career. And the only thing I ask for, the only thing you want this first time around is an email address. There's no need for first names or last names or city or state or surveys or anything like that. That can all come later. You want to make this as friction-free as possible so that students will say, hey, let me give them an email address. Then you have that. I use an email marketing tool. I use MailChimp that will then give these students an easy way to opt out. But once I have that email address, I can continue to market the career in a variety of different ways to these students. And there are surveys, and this is an example of one I've created, but it's not part of that initial inquiry. It's one I use in a variety of forms and formats, and it gives me more information about a student's interest. And you can see in the bottom of this, what you're, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest in pursuing a medical laboratory career. Well, if it's an 8, 9, 10, that's going to get more of a focus from me than a 1, 0, 1, 2, or 3. So that's one of the ways you can do that. The second page, again, other things you're looking at, so I can market to medical laboratory scientists or even against other professions. You may or may not be comfortable with that, but it's an option. And again, you can have access to that survey tool when we talk. One of the most successful videos that I've created and produced are interviews with medical laboratory scientists. You can see my tagline on both of these. And you can see they run about 11 to 15 minutes. And I have a standard set of questions that I ask medical laboratory scientists from across the country about their decision, about their high school, about their college, and many other questions. I'll be happy to share that list with you. And then I produce the video. And let's make the case that you've interviewed one medical laboratory scientist and you've got a template for how to interview many others. One of the considerations you might make is, hey, I'd like you to interview 5 or some number of my staff to talk about our hospital, our healthcare organization. Certainly that's something that we can do to reinforce not just the career, but your particular organization as well. And you can see on this screen that we focus on the videos in the top left. You can see my cute little camera there. On the right-hand side is I also create podcasts. Increasingly, podcasts are the preferred medium of choice for listening to content. And in the bottom section, I count everything. And the bottom one down there is one of the videos I produced for medical laboratory science that had 37,000 hits over the course of, looks like a year or so. So we do the videos, we do the podcast, and we monitor which ones are looked at a lot and which ones are not looked at that much. I talked about the retail version. The retail version of how we do this. And this is the pipeline tracking system that I use. And you can see I blacked out the stuff that's not appropriate. But this is a spreadsheet that I track, and there's lots of fields on there. And actually the next screen shows this better. These are the fields that are on this screen right here. This is just an easier display on this screen. And you can choose any combination of these that you want to track those, and I can help you make the decision on how to do it. And the analogy that I draw, and you can see on the left-hand side, I used to sell diagnostic laboratory equipment, chemistry analyzers and hematology and blood gas and histology systems. And in every case, the managers, the sales managers, had something called a 30-60-90 report. And in it, the sales reps, me, and others had to tell the bosses, the sales managers, when they expected to close equipment or products in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Now, that's not the time frame we would use to build a medical laboratory science career pipeline, but the concept holds. I would encourage you to look at this approach as saying, it looks like we have, in the next 12 to 24 months, we have 3 to 5 students in the pipeline. In the 2 years after that, we have 5 to 10. In the 3 years after that, we have 10 to 20. So you're looking ahead and can manage your business, manage your program at either the college or hospital level well in advance and not have to worry about it from simply year-to-year enrollment numbers. High school faculty database. This is another one. This is one I think I purchased. I now go in and actually develop it my own. I can show you how I do that. But I've got the email addresses. I can capture those. These look like high school faculty, maybe. Yeah, high school faculty that can be contacted regularly to share the message, to get guidance, to get referrals on how to get this message of medical laboratory science in front of others inside their organizations. So let's talk about the WOW tour. And you can see on the right-hand side, this is more show, a lot more show than it is tell. I'm guessing most, if not all of you, have done tours before. And my bias watching others do tours is that we do way too much telling and not nearly enough showing. This WOW tour is simply to enhance career awareness. I would never view it as a single tool, single resource to get somebody to say, hey, yes, I want to be a medical laboratory scientist. I want to be a medical laboratory technician. Don't oversell what we do. Let the technology, let the robotics, let the science, let the chemistry, let the information systems do all the sellings for you. Just show what's going on. And this just starts the process. Maybe not even start the process. It's part of the process you use to increase awareness and then actually show students at the middle school, high school, college level, whatever, what their career might look like should they choose to be engaged in medical laboratory science. And I mentioned this before. You can see, I think that's a chemistry analyzer on the right. Show the robotics. And I give tours at a major healthcare system laboratory here in St. Louis. And I can't tell how many times I've been fascinated with watching the students get mesmerized by the tubes moving along the robotic line to the point where they don't get enough time to do that because the tour guide makes them move on to something else. When you get somebody watching the robotics, stop, let them enjoy the moment, because you know what? That's what they're going home and telling their parents about, telling their families about. That's what they're going back to school to tell their classmates about. It was so neat to see these tubes moving along this robotic line. And then think about the personal connection. Tell a story. Tell a story or two about a test result, about a patient result, about why you chose medical laboratory science. Make it short, make it to the point, and give scenarios that enable these students at whatever level to envision themselves doing what you're doing. And then this is a biggie. This is a Gary Stalker bias. I have watched way too many laboratory tours where the tour guides throw out enough acronyms to make us want to, I won't even say that. First of all, I would encourage you never to use acronyms. I know we are medical laboratory scientists, that's our world, but define the terms. It's not CBC. When we do a complete blood count, this is what we do. When we do a basic metabolic profile, these are the tests that are involved. But if you must, use acronyms. Without exception, I would encourage you or the folks who are doing the tours to define that term each and every time. Trust me, when I do tours or watch tours, most of the time folks walk out of those laboratories with the equivalent of their mouth open, stunned at what they've seen. Don't confuse the issue. Don't take away that amazement they have by throwing out dozens of acronyms that aren't defined. It's just not a good practice. Think about the audience. They just want to see the highlights. They may want to be a medical laboratory scientist. They may not. But drown them in acronyms, and I would argue you risk losing some that you might otherwise not lose. And so the summary, you can see that on your own. I won't read that to you. The WOW Tour is a big deal. It's part of the process for sure. You can use that after the fact to do a post-tour survey. I've got those available. To ask these students, what did you like, not like? What's the next step? There's lots of ways you can go with that. But that's the essence of getting folks. This is a big event. As part of that whole pipeline process, whether it happens to be 3 months or 3 years, that tour needs to be conducted with consistency, with energy, enthusiasm, and according to the guidelines, I think, that I've shared before. So what do we do next? We take a look at visiting the website. You can see what I've put together. It's available to you. We can even customize it for you. We can have that conversation. And let's schedule a complimentary Zoom meeting. We'll talk about your MLS or MLT pipeline process, talk about ways to make it better, talk about how I might be able to help. And then, of course, we'll review options that you can consider to engage MLS 2030 to help you grow your medical laboratory pipeline. I suggest we don't have staffing issues. We have career awareness issues. The systems and processes described here work. The alternative is to continue to use sporadic events in the hope that we can find enough medical laboratory students to fill our college and hospital programs. On the business side, colleges are under intense financial pressure. Low-performing academic programs are being cut regularly. It is not a substantial leap of logic to envision a scenario where so many MLS and MLT programs are cut that our profession is negatively impacted in ways that we can't even possibly envision. Drop me a note. It's Gary at MLS2030.com, and we'll schedule a 30-minute courtesy Zoom meeting to discuss your pipeline processes. Thanks for taking these few minutes. I'm grateful. This is Gary Stocker. Take care.